Bruce does a lot of reminiscing about the toys and stuff he had in his younger years. Tonight, he wants to talk about the Commodore 64 home computer system. Do you remember that? Well, you must be as old as his dumb arse. Let's talk about that and some retro gaming, shall we?
Welcome back once again, boys and girls, to my little channel. I did a couple days ago a video about the Commodore 64, showing a couple games and everything like that. It was a big part of my teen years and when I was younger. The Commodore 64 came out in 1982, and I was probably one of the first kids on the block to have it. I had it all through high school, used to play games, and just a lot of good memories. A friend of mine saw the video, who lives close by. He called me up today, he says, "Hey Bruce, I got something for you." I'm like, "What?" He says, "You like the Commodore 64, don't you?" And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to give me the Commodore 64, because mine's kind of rickety. It doesn't work right. No. But he says something better. He says he got a C64 Mini. So he dropped it by the house today, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. He says it's never been used. Here it is. I'll give you better. We're gonna do better unboxing from other than this camera angle. So he gave me this unopened. There's a joystick to go with it. Kind of reminds me of the old school joysticks. It says this will work on Windows too, so I'm wondering if I can use this when I do the emulators to play like Pac-Man and stuff instead of using the Xbox controller I've been using. And this intrigued me too. It says Commodore 64 Retro Turtle. 5,370 games. I don't know how they're going to fit it on it. It's a thumb drive in here. So we're definitely going to take a look at that. I don't know if I can use it in this or not. We're going to find out. Let's get it unboxed right now. So we are going to start with the main component here. It says it's in the front, C64 Mini, 64 games. 64. I see what they did there, 64. It says plugs into your TV. I'm not going to sit here and read every bit of wording on here. I'm just going to give you a quick look at the box. The picture looks just like the old school Commodore 64 that I have, or used to have when I was a little kid. Little side art there, and stuff on the bottom. Here's some of the games. Here's a whole list of the games here. Once again, I'm not going to read them all to you. You can always freeze frame it and read it yourself if you're that curious. Looks like they put the best games that they think are up here. Look at Boulder Dash, California Games, Impossible Mission, Jumpman, Pit Stop 2. A couple good ones that I know of. Summer Games, I remember that. Summer Games 2. Uridium was always a good one. And Winter Games. And I guess this is the basic for a regular screen, maybe. I don't know. Well, let's open it. Talking about it ain't going to get it opened. Set this aside. The C64 Mini. Just plain blue box. I like when things come in boxes. I'm not sure why. I just do. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, there it is. It's so tiny. Look how small it is. Oh, it's got another joystick. He gave me 2 joysticks. If I had friends, then I could play games with my friends, but I don't have any friends. Look at this case. This is actually, it came apart in my hands. It's actually a nice case, though. Look how tiny this is. Wait a minute. Let me get this stuff out of the way so y'all can see. Didn't give myself much room. Maybe if I zoom it out a little bit. Okay, that's better. And it came in this little case here. Fell apart as soon as I picked it up, though. But look how tiny this is. It's got a couple USB ports. I'm assuming it's an on-off switch. HDMI input and a power in. Looks like a standard phone charger, just like the Atari one had. But the keyboard doesn't work. That's weird. Let's see what else we got. There's another joystick. Another joystick. Good, I don't have to open the first one then. So let's take a look at this real quick. Okay, it works. Look how tiny. Well, the joystick's not so tiny, but this is each of these squares is an inch, in case you're wondering. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is only 8 inches wide. It's so tiny. Looks like it belongs in a dollhouse somewhere. How, you know, even if, yeah, you wouldn't be able to use those keys anyways. I couldn't on my big fat fingers. But here's a joystick. It's got a bunch of buttons on the front. More than one button like we had when we were kids. The C64 Retro Games Limited. Okay. And USB connector. So that's that. And elsewhere here in the box, we have cables. Let's see what kind of cables we got. That's an HDMI cable. Good, because we're going to need that. What else? Oh, here's another cable. Maybe it's the power supply. This is power cord. USB and then a little USB. I've got a million of these laying around the house. Where's the... I'm going to give you a box. Voltage converter is what I'm trying to say. More stuff here. This stuff's all in my way. I'm bumping a microphone. I'm all excited like Christmas morning or something. Okay, here's the instructions. What's this? Retro Reborn, the world's finest retro game subscription service. Officially licensed games. Exclusive channels, official leaderboards. Antstream.com. Never heard of any of this. Use promo code 64 Mini when you sign up. I was wondering, it says officially licensed games. I was wondering if they were able to license the games for this, because if you look, and I noticed this when I was researching it, it doesn't say Commodore anywhere. It says the C64 Mini. But it doesn't say Commodore on this, on the joystick. It's just a C64. Here's the instructions. C64 Mini Quick Guide. Old school book style. Wonder if it's going to be in English. Yep. Sometimes, I'm not going to read these online either. But sometimes, there's different languages. There's French. English and French. And Espanol. So, English, French, and Spanish. I am going to put this together, and in the next scene, we are going to mess with it. And if you want to see how to put it together, it doesn't look like it's too hard. I'll give you a quick explanation if you're completely new to this. I mean, obviously, this is going to go into a phone charger and plug in there, and that's your power. HDMI cable is going to go to my TV. And I'm assuming I'll plug the USB controller in there, and it'll work. So let's get it all hooked up, and I get to try my new capture card, which I've been dying to try that too. Oh, I forgot about the other two packages. I got so excited. This is another joystick, apparently. I'm not going to open this because I got this one. So I'm only one person. So for another time, maybe that'll work on my computer and I can use it with emulators. This is what I'm curious about. Let me zoom in on this. Commodore, 5,370 games. We're definitely going to look at this somehow. I don't know how I'm going to load them into here, but I suppose I'll read the directions and then I can show you. How's that? All right, let's get reset up here. So like I said, the setup did look pretty simple. I got my joystick plugged in the side USB port. I got my HDMI cable plugged in there, going to my TV, and the power supply is right here. I did notice at first, because I tried to just do a quick boot to make sure my capture card was working, and you hit the button, nothing happens. So it'll shut it off. But when you go to hit it to turn on, it doesn't work. I don't know if it's supposed to do that, but what did work is I took the cable out and I plugged it back in. So let's plug it back in and get started. And there's the opening screen. We gotta try to find a good game. I'm going to use the joystick. Let's go find one. Push the button. All right, we're not going to check any of that. Just start the race. Driver one, please type your name. See, that's why you need a keyboard. Use the buttons. There is a keyboard on here somewhere. It's a virtual keyboard. Guess I'm the guy at the top, yeah. Riding. And we used to think these games were so badass back in the day. But I just wanted to test it out real quick. I'm not going to do this for a long time because I want to get into that CD and see what's in that. So we're going to check that out next. Right away. I don't know how I'm going to load this in. I got to do some research on that. No, I'll mess with it and then we'll come up with a solution. Well, I've been doing this for about 2 hours messing with it. Played a few of the games. Couldn't really find games that I like. I mean, it has the Impossible Mission 2 in there. That's a good game. It's supposed to have a keyboard. There's a virtual keyboard on it instead of using it. I tried. It said in the instructions that you can plug in a keyboard. So I had a generic keyboard laying around here and plugged it in. It didn't seem to work at all. And as far as this thing here goes, I couldn't get it to do anything with it. So, I mean, I think it goes with it. He said it did. But I think, you know what? Let's put it in a PC and see what happens. Maybe I'll put it on an emulator. Because right now, the way this is, sure, just by using the buttons and playing the games on screen, it worked pretty good. But it's a big mess of spaghetti when it's all set up. Especially when I had the keyboard out. That bugs me. But it is cool to hear all the old Commodore music and stuff in the background. So I want to pop this in the PC and see what happens. Well, it looks like I got another disappointment for us. I put it in the PC thinking there'd be ROM files on here that I could play on an emulator because that's what it said it was. Nothing. Put it in the little baby C64 here. Nothing. Nothing in the directions of how to do it. There is supposed to be firmware updates and stuff that you were supposed to be able to put on a thumb drive and put in here and they're supposed to work. Today it didn't work. So I'd have to say this glorified emulator. The glorified emulator, it's just not what I was hoping for. Especially, it's disappointing that the keyboard doesn't work. And I don't like having wires all over the place. To try to do two keyboards. I put one older one in, just a generic keyboard, nothing special about it. I have a gaming keyboard that I tried, didn't recognize it. And then I have, the third one was the one that has the thumb remote for the keyboard and mouse combo. Nothing worked. The port works because the joystick works. So I'd say the only thing I got out of this is a half decent retro style joystick to play like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man with. So I hate to say it, this one, I don't like it. I'll just stick with my regular 64 until it blows up. Or use an emulator. But, yeah, kind of disappointed. Sorry, I appreciate you giving it to me, Tom. But you asked me to review it. That's what I think.
Okay, let's be honest. Back when these were popular, this is what you hoped for. A sexy woman to teach you how to use the Commodore 64. Admit it, you old nerds went crazy over the movie Weird Science, and this type of woman was your fantasy girl. What I want to know is, did you ever get a girl like this? Leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. This is all in fun. Now back to our regular video.
It's been 5 more hours. Got a little obsessed, but I figured it out, and now I got it working. And I'm going to show you how I did it. In case you decide to pick one of these up. Now I think it's worth it. I forget what I said before. Just a little bit of work, a little bit of research. It turns out mine needed a firmware update. And I had no idea how to install it. And that thing, you can't get online with it. I'm like, all right, how do I do this? So I started researching it. And it was very simple. All you need is a flash drive, USB flash drive. Make it empty. Format it FAT32. If you don't know how to do that, if you put your USB flash drive in your PC, right click on it and choose format, and then it does it automatically. Easy peasy. Then you're going to download a file, and I'm going to put a link to that file in the description. I made a note so I won't forget to put it in the description because you're going to need it. Very easy. It's free, and it comes from the actual people that make this. So you're going to get that. Then you're going to drag it onto your thumb drive, and in this case, what's it called? Because I've already done it. It's called the C64 -161.bin, bin. And just put it on this. And also, you can put some of your favorite games on here too, which I already did. All you gotta do is, if you have the ROM file, just drag and drop them on the same same thumb drive you're using. And they're really small, so you can do a lot. I can't tell you where to get those. Wish I could. But yeah, they're all available all over the internet. So let's boot up the game, and I'll show you how to install your bin file. I've already done it on here, but I'm going to go back and through, and you'll see the differences in my screen with the new update. So let's do that. Okay, you can see we already have a new boot up screen. That's different than the last time. Pretty much looks the same annoying music in the background. Now, I have my thumbstick is in the C64 now, and my joystick. So I'm going to go down to settings. Now, yours, unless it already has this update, yours will not have this icon. But that's what we're going to install. So you're going to go to settings, which is the little wrench there. Hit your button, and then go down to system information. There. Now, notice mine says no firmware update found. That's because I've already installed it. Can't really do it again, but I'm going to show you the procedure how to do it. If it does say, if you do get the option to do it, then yeah, it'll give you another option, accept, and you'll put it in, then you're done. After you do that, like I said, very easy. There's a little update screen. Took about 30 seconds. Very easy. For now, we're just going to close this, but if you have the bin file, use that. So we're going to go back, close it, and what's the back button? Little four buttons on the front, back. One of them is. There we go. So your new reboot screen will go up, and then you'll see this icon that you probably didn't have before. That is a USB stick picture. If we click on it, it's going to show you what's on the USB that I put in there. Now, you can see I just moved a couple games real quick over here. They're already, yeah, they're right there. Now, these won't move to your unit. You have to keep them on the USB stick. But, let's see what we got. Let's try Ms. Pac-Man. Click on it. That's a European version. I just grabbed a couple real quick. Hope it works. Okay, now, see, I don't have a keyboard. I did get the keyboard working, by the way, but since I have a USB stick in there in one port and a joystick in the other one, I couldn't put the keyboard in. But there is a virtual keyboard right here. I push the far right button on the bottom, and I'm going to choose virtual keyboard, and there it is. And in this case, I want to press F1 to start the game. Get out of my keyboard, and hopefully it works. Okay, joystick's not working. Well, that happens. I mean, exit. Let's try one more real quick. Now I want to see if this little baby works, because when I put it in my PC, nothing came up. I wanted me to format it, so it's probably in another format that my computer doesn't recognize. Maybe it's in the original Commodore 64 format. I don't know. But we're going to find out. Let's stick it in and find out. Okay, here we go. Kind of like that new loading screen. All right, let's see if it worked. We got the C64 USB clip. Oh, look at this. What we got? Looks like they're sorted by letters. Okay. There's supposed to be 5,000 plus games on this little stick. That amazes me too. Let's see if we can get Pac-Man to work. There it is, right there at the top. I'll tell you what, the loading time is much better on this machine than it is on the actual 64. Press F1. I don't have a keyboard, so we'll bring up our virtual keyboard and go to F1. There it is. I'll tell you what I've always noticed. Commodore 64 has always had very distinct sound patterns. A lot of these things you can tell what console you're using by the actual music and sounds. But these sounds are what I remember from being a little kid whenever I had these games. And, you know, by today's standards, these games are cheesy and stupid. But, hey, it's what we... shit. It's what we had. All right. I'm actually better at that game, but it's hard to talk and play at the same time. All right, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But look at this. 5,000 plus games. How cool is that? All sort of I guess alphabetically. Got them broken up into different folders here, so it's easier to find. I think it's pretty neat now. I'm sold. Now I got something to do with my spare time. I don't have much spare time. You think me retiring have a lot of spare time? I don't. I work in a shop. I've been really, really busy. That's why today I just kind of took today for myself to play around and mess with this. Like I said, I was disappointed. I thought it was, you know, halfway through the video, I said it. I thought it was just junk. I didn't think it was going to work at all. But now that I know that this 5,000 plus games works, I don't have to mess around with an emulator anymore. The keyboard thing, I did get the keyboard working, but, you know, looking back, I don't need the keyboard very much for these games, just to start it like we did, and we figured it out. So, but I did get the keyboard to work, and I'm wondering if I put a USB hub on this to split it into numerous USB ports, if that might solve that problem. The one thing I don't like about it is I got wires everywhere, and wires bug me. I got the joystick wire, I got the HDMI cable, I got the power cord, and then if I have a keyboard, I'll have the keyboard wire. I don't know if it'll do I didn't try a wireless. I'll have to try that and let you guys know later if it works. Yeah, because I do have I'd still have the same problem with the USB, because if you're going to use a USB drive in there, you have to only have one more. Yeah, that would be for the stick. I don't know, a lot to think about. But I'm definitely going to spend, well, I'll tell you what I need. I need a beer, so I'm going to edit this. Probably drink some while I'm editing. So if I mess up in the editing, you know why. I'm all wired up on coffee today. I went through 2 pots down here. I get in this mind frame where I just concentrate and I get obsessed and I want to fix the product. In this case, we got our Commodore we can't call it a Commodore 64, I don't think, because it was nowhere in the packages. We got a little tiny C64 with the non-functioning keyboard. This is an older model. They have other ones that have come out since then. This one, he said, was never used. And once I installed that firmware update, which I will put a link in the description. In fact, I will, if I remember this too, I will definitely put a link in the description of where you can get the file. And I'll also put a link to another guy's video that I watched where I learned this just today. And then you can watch his video, which is probably better than mine. Because remember, I just do this for the fun of it. If you want to leave me a like and subscribe, hey, that's great. If not, you don't like what I'm doing, that's okay. There's plenty of other guys out there you can watch. So anyway, thanks for coming and checking us out. I'm like a big kid at heart. I'm like terminally 12 years old, as my wife likes to tell me. So if you have any questions or anything that I don't know, which is a lot, put it in the comments. Yeah, let me know what you think. This stuff just brings back memories of me being a little kid at home and nothing to do and playing around that 64 all the time. That was my first side hustle too. I'll do a video about that if you're interested, if you want to know what the side hustle was about the Commodore 64. Till then, guys, bye.
Wow. This thing is a piece of junk. What kind of chip is inside it? A Dorito?
Hey, you don't have to laugh about it. This is all we had back in 1982, and it was a big deal back then. I'll tell you what, just say goodnight to the people, Izzy.
Good night to the people, Izzy. And don't forget to check out Jenna Custom Toys on eBay for some really cool Star Wars stuff.
It's just Bruce, he don't bite.